What's the deal, Pickles? So, I am back with another vlog and I'm trying to get this intro as fast or this opening as fast as I can before my crew starts moving around. So, next week, I'm going to a quilting retreat and I want to prep all of my stuff. One of the things that I found over the years of going to quilt retreats is that you get so much done if you're stuff is together, like your situation is situated. So next week, I'm going to a quilting retreat and I want to prep all of my stuff. One of the things that I found over the years of going to quilt retreats is that you get so much done if your stuff is together, like your situation is situated. So, what I mean by that is usually I will know specifically what I plan to work on. Normally, I do not get to everything that I have, but I do have more than what I think I can complete over the week or weekend prepared. Part of that preparation also includes making sure that you have a variety of items. So what I mean by that is, for example, I may have a quilt that's almost done. I may have a quilt where I've only cut the pieces. I may have another quilt which I had last year that turned out way better than I expected, which I had nothing. I just had fabric and an idea. And the reason why I like taking projects at different stages is because it gives you a feeling of spontaneity and variety while at the same time being productive. So, I know I'm saying that about quilting. So, today, what my agenda is, I'm going to wait, let me see. If you see them moving around, just know they're gonna move. They usually will stop and stare, even though we have the conversation of don't stop and stare, but it's whatever. Okay. So I have containers like this that I've showed before that I have items in. Some of the stuff so that I can move it portable, so that I can be portable. I have to remove the items that I would normally have in it. And I'm actually going to back up a little bit. This quilt retreat, one of the great things about it is that it covers from Thursday till Sunday. And what they allow you to do is to go set up all of your materials. And you, for this one, actually can go back and forth because I'm close enough to home. Some people do stay in a hotel nearby. I'm close enough that I save the money of not doing the hotel and instead put it in supplies that I need. So that's cool with me. Now, when my kids were younger, sometimes I would want to stay overnight just because I would have to come home and work. But now that everybody's older, like, it's not a big deal. So you set up, and you can pay a little extra to set up early, which I did do. You set up, and that means every day you just go back and forth, meaning I go home in the evening, I have dinner. Some nights we have dinner together, and it's really late because we usually end at about 10:30, 11, some nights midnight. And then the next morning we start at usually 8 or 9. I can't recall right now, 8 or 9 o'clock. And so I usually grab me a coffee on the way in, and that's where I spend my money. Instead of getting a hotel, I treat myself to dinner that I like in the area because I don't have, there's restaurants over there that I don't normally get to go to except for this time of year. Even though I go in the area, I just don't stay. I go and do what I need to do when I go home. And so I go get my Starbucks every morning. I may get some muffins or something like that. But usually for this retreat, I don't do a lot of that because they supply lunch and they supply really good, like too many snacks. And I'm not saying too many as in stop, but as too many as in tempting. So I don't normally have to do snacks, but I do carry my own in my bag just in case. I always have my hot tamales. I always have my Twizzlers. So I have those in my bag. But what I do to prepare is today is going to be actually getting everything together because I should have done this sooner, but my schedule has been tight. So Today, I'm going to be just getting all the fabrics that I think I'm going to need together and getting them organized. And hopefully, my plan and I hope is that I can get it in some of these containers. I honestly need to get a couple more of these, but I just haven't. And so that may mean that, for example, this one, which is totally scraps, may go into a Ziploc bag or something like that temporarily. Because when I come back, then there's places where each project is stored that I just can't take with me easily. So these containers travel well. My 12.5 by 12.5 containers travel well. And all of those things, I have a system for packing them up in a cart that I roll everything in, all in at one time, all out at one time. And so with that said, today is all about pulling out everything, reviewing my list, and going over what I want to make. And since everybody is kind of settled, let me grab my plan. As I find the page, let me know in the comment section how you all are liking these blog style crafting videos. They're primarily will be around quilting because that's a more task oriented type of thing. I do have some ideas of incorporating the crochet and the knit later, but it won't be in this format other than the last video where I showed you putting together my mood project. So one of the things that I started this year was a bullet journal. Well, I actually started at the end of the year, but what this has actually turned into is a gathering place for my thoughts, which has been amazing. So I put down what my goals were. I wrote them out, and I actually put little tabs on them, temporary tabs, so it would be easy to get back and forth to those pages, because stuff would come to me and then I would just jot it down and then I would go do whatever I was doing and then keep this running list. So now what I have to do, okay, so I'm gonna tell you, because this is a vlog. I've been gathering all these ideas for quilts, and what I was looking for was quilts where I could use the fabric that I have, which I told you all in my 2019 crafting goals video. I found different videos. I think almost all of them, not all of them, a couple of them are from Missouri Star, just because her tutorials are just straightforward. It's not a whole lot of fluff. You get it done. A couple of them are hers. There's a few others that I purchased that I already knew I was going to take it to the quilt retreat, and so I have those. And what I did is I just made a list, and you can't see it here, but a list of different projects that I want to do and what fabric I intend to use it with, even though for all of them I don't quite know. The second thing that I did is I began making a list of then how I needed to prepare my fabrics. So as an example, oh gosh, I have a coordinating thing on my phone with this, so I don't know the names. Missouri, two of the patterns that Missouri did is she did one of them called Sunrise something, and another one that she did called Two Step. So as an example, I'm going to go back to those videos and listen to them while I gather all my materials and lay everything out. And once she says at the beginning, okay, you're going to need X, Y, and Z, I will begin taking down notes. Now, the wonderful thing about her tutorials is that she, in the beginning, does a little snapshot and tells you the supplies that you need. So what I do, this is a tip, is I make sure that if it's a quilt that I want to make, I go back and I watch the tutorial again on my iPad, and I take a snapshot of the screen and I save it to my notes in a folder just for this occasion. I put down, I put the URL, I put the link, I put the picture, and then what I do is I may later go back and jot down notes of what fabric came to mind when I thought about doing that project. So with that said, that's what I have here. So I have the notes. For example, I need to cut up a lot of layer cakes. A lot as in maybe 3. That's still a lot. 3 10-inch square block, 3 sets of 10-inch square blocks. I need to keep track of some of my scraps because I want to work on a scrap project. I also have a project that I wanted to work on that I already purchased the supplies for, which was I wanted to make some ticker tape to make scrappy borders for some of the projects that I'm working on. So I have that marked down, or not ticker tape, receipt tape. And also I have it listed as a reminder for the back of my mind as I'm cutting, if I find pieces that are too big or too small to go into like a 10-inch block. Well, then I have my scrap quilt blocks that I have, which are either by strip or by piece or by chunks. Those are the three sizes. I place them in these containers. I have the standard size, which I showed you before, from, I believe her name is Miss Laura. I can't think of her. You got to look at my scrap, even though people thumbs it down. I know they wanted me to make the scrap quilt. This is about making scraps. But anyways, that standard size. I also have a 2.5-inch size squares that I have. So anytime I start cutting, I try my best to kind of go all the way through that process in my head. And then I have all of that goes in here. So this is really not one of the ones I would take that stuff out. This actually is going to stay the same. So as I go through, I may cut the 10-inch. Then if there's not enough in that fabric to make another 10-inch, I may cut it down to some 2.5-inch strips. Then after that, then I would go down, or if I could get like a charm for 5-inch block, 2.5. And for all of those, make sure you guys support my books. Yes, yes, yes. I have different sizes. I'm going to unearth this and show you. And I showed you all these a long time ago, but I have this set that helps me. It's the 10, the 5, and the 2.5. So this will help me cut everything down on top of my other rulers. Actually, I need to just leave that out. I then can place them accordingly. So I have 2-inch, I have triangles, I have 2.5-inch. It's a lot of these. It's almost like it's really getting close to time. I have these are all for mosaic pieces that I have for another project. And then at the very bottom, I have those standard sizes that I talked about before. And I don't tell the size because she has a video and it's her video, but I have these. So all of these go inside of here. And these are all things that I keep in mind. Not like keep in mind, drive yourself crazy, keep in mind. But keep in mind as in, hopefully that you don't have to touch the same fabric several times, and that as you're going through, you're just being productive and efficient. So I have these, and that's what today is about. This is like a really long introduction, but essentially I'm getting ready, and that's how I do it. The very last project that I have, and it's something also that I showed you before, and I'm gonna grab the box, is this project, and it actually stays in this box, which I gotta be so careful because it's like you don't want everything to get dusty, which is why I have it organized. And in here, I really just have colors and not necessarily a particular size. It just has, it starts at 2.5 inches and goes up from there. And these will also break down to go into the scrap bags later. But these are all based on color, and this is for a pattern. Let me get the block. It's for this block. And I don't remember the name. I bought it from Craftsy when it was Craftsy. I bought it from Craftsy, and essentially it's another thing that's going to be a scrap. So I think I have teal. I think I have yellow, green. I think I have one that's a blend. So I think it's like 5 different color color groups that I have in different Ziploc bags. So that's it. So today is all about cutting, and really not day. It's a few hours of cutting, and I'm almost believing that the first I'm probably gonna do this a few hours. The first first hour or so is really just going to be pulling everything out. So it's going to be making a mess just to get organized. And then I'll start the cutting down process. So with that said, let me get to work. And if any of this you want details on, I'm saying it now so that I won't forget later. Pause now and put it in the comment section, whether it's about organizing or the different items that I have. And then what I will try my best to do is, as I move forward, if I do a particular pattern, like I'll try to find one for this. I know I have it in my iPad, but I don't know. They changed so much when they changed Craftsy, so, or at least it's been hard to find stuff. It, whatever. So I will try my best to link if I can recall. But today really is about getting organized so I can have a good time at the retreat. So I'm out. You're going to see some time lapse stuff. I'm going to come back maybe a little bit frustrated, work with your girl, and then we're going to make it happen. All right, see you in a bit. I want to add this on to this video about preparing for the retreat. What you see here is how I put together the notes. So if I go and I watch a YouTube video, in this case it was the Missouri Star tutorial, and I take a snapshot of the screen on my iPad, and then I immediately add it to a note. I make sure that I put the source so that I can actually go back to the tutorial, and I could add notes here if I wanted to type up notes and say what I want to do. But what I actually plan to do today is I want to do notes, but I want to do it in the area where I've showed you before, and that's where I keep all my patterns. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So for this, what I want to do is export this document, and because it doesn't read that particular app, I'm going to PDF it. Now it's a PDF, and once it's a PDF, then I'm going to send it out to the other app, which is GoodNotes. Now once I'm in GoodNotes, I'm going to go to my patterns. And now once I'm in here, I can click on it and I have this in here. So the next thing that I would do is just like before. Again, I'm sorry if you don't have this, but I'm sure you can do the equivalent in another app. This is just what I use. What I'm going to do is add a page. And I'm going to add the paper so that I can take down notes. And I don't know which one I want to use today. So since I don't know what I want to use, I really like this one. Is my favorite. And once I have it in here, I can actually, there's done. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to add another page so that I have more than one. So then now what would happen is I will go watch the video and I would take down the instructions that I need in order to make this quilt. But now I at least know everything that I need to make it happen, the finished size of the block, which I love about their tutorials, and then everything will be in one place. And so I wanted to show you all this, and now I'm going to actually get to taking the notes. Show you, and I hope I'm looking in the right spot, is something like this. So I purchased this container from Walmart, and everything in this container is scraps from the Freedom Bound quilt. So as I went through, I kept everything pretty much separated by the cut of fabric, and plus extra pieces that I had left over. So I'll show you just really quick, and then I'm gonna get back to work. While I was going along month to month, I showed you all that I had a binder with the patterns in it, and then with the monthly block patterns. Then I had these Ziplocs, sheet protectors that I would just keep the leftover fabric pieces in, and every month, because that was over the course of a year, I was keeping the pieces as much as I could group together. Towards the end, I didn't do as well because when I did the last few months, I did them all at the same time pretty much. So I was really just trying to get through completing it. But with that said, all of those things are in this container, and I know that all of them match, or they would make a beautiful piece together. So what I think I'm going to do with these is actually just leave them all together and not look at this just yet until I kind of think about what I want to use them for. And I think I have an idea, but I want to just think about it some more. But this is the way that you can organize scraps that'll turn into something else. And technically these are big scraps, even though there are some smaller pieces. But for the most part, this is going to make a beautiful Civil War quilt top. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's get back to work. So I've pulled out everything. The good thing is that for the most part, everything is bundled either by the way that most of it is by the way that I purchased it, or over time putting things together that go together. So I'm going to show you an example, because next is going to be the hard part of figuring out what all I need. So for example, this container contains a lot of the fabrics that I've used over the past few years for baby quilts. Last year, like I have a few friends that whenever they have a grandbaby or they have something, they ask me to make a quilt. And the good thing about these particular people is I make it every time they ask, and usually, well, not usually, it is because they let me do whatever I want to do. Like, whatever pattern I want to use is fine. They pay for the materials, and I use it as an opportunity to try new patterns, to practice my free motion quilting. And because it's for a baby project, I can usually get it done and not, it doesn't take me long to do, basically. And so over the years, I've just kind of accumulated. Now, what has happened is that a lot of them are darker fabrics. Last year, or the last couple that I've done, I tried to move towards not neutral tones, but gender neutral tones, so that it wasn't like all blue, like traditional blue, pink. Another thing is, when I did my very first baby quilt, it was an animal theme, and I just had fabric left over from that. And it just made a and so that color scheme of, and I'm gonna, so here they all are, but I'm gonna show you. Here are the tones, and these were all based on the animal fabric. And here's the animal fabric. I still have more of it left, so I'm actually planning to make a baby quilt using this and potentially selling it or giving it away. I don't have anybody that I know that's having a baby, but I might. So that's what I've done so far. And in this bag, I have a lot of also baby-ish fabrics that were leftover scraps from a bunch of other projects. And I just kind of kept them all in here. So that's what I have. I have like one container. Now, this is probably my favorite container. This is my favorite. Look at these fabrics. It just has a combination. I don't even know what that says. I'm trying to see what it says. Um, just a nice little combination of like grown folk type fabric. So all of these would go in a project. It has the only thing that's not in here is something with purple, but I can live without that. So I'm sure this is going to be a quilt for my husband and I. So, and then I have this, which is a project that I had left over from last year that I just put together on the fly, and I want to finish it because I finished the bulk of it last time. But then when I came home, I realized that I had some more fabric that I just wanted to put into it just to use it. And I also had some leftover panels and that I wanted to use. And so this is going to be one of those that is going to be probably a million colors. But I wanted to use all the rest of the travel fabrics that I had, travel panels. So this will be that one project that I told you I have that will be that that's kind of on the fly. It'll be me placing stuff on the design board and cutting and putting it up there, piecing, cut, put it up there until I finish getting the full quilt top done. And I hope to get that quilt top done this time around. What else? The one of the last things that I guess I will show right now, because the next step is I need to sit down and figure out how much I need of what, is I have this container, and actually I have two of these, and these are all chunks of yardage. One of the things that I do try to do is if I need to purchase something, like let's say I'm looking at a charm pack or something, and I go to Missouri Star. A lot of this is from Missouri Star. Or if I go and they have a certain fabric that I may use as a filler fabric at Joann and it is on sale, I may grab 2 yards of it. And usually in my mind, it's if it's like $10 or less. So whatever I can get for that $7 to $10, I will get a full yardage amount up to that point. So I'll do an example. If I say, you know what, $10, then I will grab, and I usually do it for a full cut of something. So I may say, oh, for $10, they have this on sale at Missouri. Let's say they have a pretty cream or something, or a pretty tonal. I may purchase 2 yards of it and I put it in here. So with that said, oh, another place I like to do it with is Connecting Threads. So with Connecting Threads, they have really interesting sets that come from their own in-house lines. So whenever I'm buying one of their like fat quarter sets, or right now I'm eyeing that color wheel set. I don't know what it's called, but they have a color wheel set. If I were to purchase something like that and they had just straight solids on sale, I may get, $10 worth of fabric, and I try to get 2 yards or more is the minimum, 2 yards. If I can't get 2 yards of it, then it's not worth it. It makes it it just adds to the scraps, right? So I would get what I'm buying, and if I have the budget for it, I will get 2 to 3 yards of whatever's on sale. I've also do that when, like for example, I purchased canvas fabric once for a project, and I was buying that and it was on sale. So and usually it's because that amount will get me to the free shipping, and that amount is usually the equivalent of what I would pay for shipping. So in my brain, I'm getting this fabric free. So that's what this is. I have some different colors. This is one of the ones that finds its way in baby fabrics. It's good for binding to get a pop of color. I have purple and I have blue. I have cream. I have navy blue, black, dark green, and all of that is in here. I also have I bought a bolt of the tonal white and a bolt of black. So I have those to go with everything else to kind of bring it all together. So now what I'm about to do is work out what I need to cut. And judging by the time, my studio may be a mess when I leave out of here today, and I'll pick back up on tomorrow or Saturday. But I'm going to start breaking it all down and getting it organized. So I'm off to do that. And this is not all of my fabric. I do have some more, but I want to start with these because these are the containers that I want to use, and then go on from there. So now I'm going back to work. Here's what I have going on right now to get the fabrics organized. So here are the ones that I've started. Here are all, well, not all, are a lot of my African prints that I have in smaller cuts. A lot of these are fat eighths. All of these are fat quarters that will sit in here that I'm going to have lined, or I'll show you all in another vlog, but that's what I'm doing this weekend before I get back to writing, and I just have a few more to fold up. So as a part of this footage, I'm jumping in. I am back from the retreat, and after this, you're going to see footage of the projects that I worked on. I'm exhausted. Like, I have so much fun at the retreat, but I need a break or a retreat after the retreat to get myself back on track. So today, since I'm tired, I'm just downloading the footage and putting it all together so that I can upload this video. I did take quite a few things, which you saw earlier in this video, as far as the preparation for the retreat. In the end, I worked on 3 projects. It was only 3 because the final one, which you'll see are just pieces for the border, just took up a lot of time. Like, I purchased the quilt pattern and I looked at it for a second, like at what I needed to do, but I didn't look at it in detail. And because I didn't look at it in detail, I got to the place and it was 2-inch strips. Okay, y'all already know I'm all about that big block life. So the fact that I stopped, I pulled out the fabrics, like because I knew like what was color 1, what was color 2, what was color 3, because I had those things in order. Then I looked at the number and it was like, oh, you need 100 and something of this, and 300 and something of that, and 200 and something of this. And I just wanted to pull my hair out. So I had a Ausa moment because I know that this quilt is going to be absolutely gorgeous. And the reason why I know that is because I know. That's why, because I know. And after going through the fabrics, so I got everything in order. I got them to the location, and I had the big bag of African fabrics. And one of the final decisions that I made, because I was at the end of a deadline for turning in a book before I left, so I did not get to prepare as much as I wanted to. I decided, since I was going a day early, that first night we don't do anything other than work or set up. So I decided, you know what I'm going to do is, instead of setting up my sewing machine, I'm going to take my cutting mat, my large cutting mat, and I'm going to do just cut. Let's listen to music and cut fabric and finish getting my African fabrics in a workable fashion. And right before I left, I figured out, okay, ding, 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 I figured out how to do fat quarters. I know. Please don't judge me. I figured out how to do fat quarters, and I did a few before I left. And I realized, well, if I have a cut of fabric and I do 2 cuts of fat quarters, which turned in, or 2 cuts of fat quarters, which in my mind end up turning into 4 fat quarters, do some 10 inch, some 5 inch, some 2.5 inch strips. In the end, I'm going to have some fat quarter bundles. I'm going to have some layer cakes, some charm packs, and some jelly rolls made up of African fabrics or fabrics that will pair well with my African fabrics, right? Win-win. So I'm cutting, and that's what I figured out before I left. And so when I looked at the big bag of African fabric, I was like, well, I'll take that bag with me in the first night. So for about 4 or 5 hours, all I did was cut fabric, went through the bag again, pulled everything out one by one, made fat quarters, made 10-inch squares, made 5-inch squares, made 2.5-inch strips. Anything that was left over after that was put to the side for a scrap bag. And let me tell you all, the sets are bananas. Like, it is crazy. Crazy in the best possible yummy fabric. You got your Ankara, you got your Black Panther Wakanda Forever. If y'all done made it this far in the video, y'all know I'm crazy. Okay. You had your Wakanda Forever moment and everything all in this fabric. And let me tell you how bad it was in the best possible way. I'm cutting the fabric and I had people just standing around my table trying to get one of my fat quarters, one of my 10-inch. Oh, can I get one of those? Can I get one of those? I was karate chopping every sister near my table. Nah, not happening. I even had one really good friend was like, you need to learn to be nicer. I was not being nice about that fabric. And you're going to see the quilt that I made coming up using that fabric. And I want to make another one. It won't be exactly the same, but I'll be using similar fabrics. Another one for myself, because that one is going to be the one I made is going to be for a gift. And then even being able to experiment with using those same fabrics on a smaller scale. But what it did is it made it so that I did not have to fussy cut in order to maintain the integrity of the patterns and the richness that are in those fabrics. And so I'm really excited about what is going to happen with those particular fabrics. I'm also extremely excited by the fact of learning how to make those fat quarters and to organize the fabric the way that I did meant that I had a big bag, and when I got ready to leave, the bag was a lot smaller because I was able to fold everything down and like have a shoebox container of nothing but African fabrics, another shoebox of fat quarters, another one of 5-inch squares, and then have my big 12.5-inch block containers that had 10-inch squares and 2.5-inch strips. And so when it all was said and done, I just came back home a lot more organized. Even though, number one, I got to put everything back in place because it's all in my living room right now. And number two, I still have to figure out what I'm going to use it in. And I still have it. You know, it's not used. But it's in an extremely efficient, workable fashion. So I'm thankful for that. So I'm going to let you get to the rest of the footage. I think that's it. So that was the African fabrics. I put together all of the stars for the star quilt that I did for the Quilts Along earlier or at the end of last year, which turned out gorgeous. And then that left me with that big, it's going to be a king size quilt that I need all of those itty bitty little pieces for. And I started cutting that and working on the border, which is the pieces that you're going to see. And right before leaving on Sunday, on Sunday, what did I do? Oh, I just started cutting the squares. Like I needed big chunks and squares. So I took my machine home, Saturday night, and on Sunday I went back to cutting fabric and doing hand embroidery so that I could socialize and at the same time get stuff done. So that's it. Now I'm going to take you back to the clips of the footage. You're going to see my footage of my quilts, and then I'm going to show you footage of the quilts that were in the room. And let me just tell you, this is like, I'm so, in the years past, I've showed you all of you, but I always seem to miss giving you a full representation of what is going on. And I don't even think I'm going to do voiceovers. I sound like a frog warmed over, so I'm not going to do a voiceover. So just look at them. I will put my stuff first, and then I'll put a little something that'll say, here are other quilts being made or something, and you'll see them. I learned so much from these women. I got to see so many techniques from these women, and I look forward to connecting with some outside of the retreat to do some other projects together. And yeah, I'm going to come in with closing remarks after you see all this footage. This is going to be a super long vlog. I hope that you are enjoying it. Right now, put in the comment box if you are still here. If you all about that Wakanda, talk about that Wakanda forever. So let's get to the footage. Yeah, and I'll see y'all towards the end. enjoyed that footage. In closing, one of the things that I love about going to retreats is the interaction that you have with other quilters. I hope to talk about it in an upcoming video that I'm editing now, which is really something that is starting to sting at me a little bit more the more that I quilt, and I quilt in public spaces. And it really is this thought about diversity in quilting. And when I go to this quilt retreat, because of one of the hosts, it is a very diverse environment. And I just love it. They do offer classes, usually it's two classes by two different teachers and instructors. And both of the instructors, like, I love from the bottom of my heart. Like, I love them. Um, and so it's a treat to be under their to be a part of their tribe and the people that are around them. And it's also a treat to learn from them, and that they are continually pouring into me, in a very active way, not a passive way, in a very active way. And it's an act of them, a giving of their gifts, a giving of their time, and just an outpouring of who they are. They are night and day, but together, baby, they work. They work, and I love the both of them. And so, because of who they are, they've really assembled this body of awesome women quilters that I'm in awe of. I'm in awe of. And it's one of the reasons why I love quilting. And so, every person that comes, I would say maybe a little under half do one or both of the classes. The other half bring their own projects, like I did, and work on their own projects. I usually purchase at least one or two of the classes, even though I don't think I've ever actually did them. But I sit and I listen to the instruction, because one of them is both of them are technical. One, I would say, is just, she's inventive as far as how she utilizes tools and techniques. And the other one is just very solid and grounded in being a dynamite quilter, and enjoying quilting, but at the same time challenging you as a quilter. And so I just love that about them. And one of the quilts that so at the end, I was so glad that I was able to capture some of the other quilts. A lot of the other quilts were quilts that people just brought with them. One of them that just blew me away, and it got just as much attention in this video as my own, was that animals with the feet or shoes or whatever quilt. It was just amazing. So while we're there at the retreat, once you finish a project, you are asked to display your project. And we all sit around, we gush over it. The quilter takes a picture with her quilt for the instructor or for the host to capture. And I just sat and just looked at all the fine details of that quote, and I absolutely loved it, to the point where I am going to find that quilt, and the lady's going to send me the information, because I think it's a kit. And so, yeah, I definitely want to do it. If you didn't and you had your head down because the music was playing, go back and slow down your speed of your video in the bottom right hand corner. You can slow down YouTube videos or speed up YouTube videos. Slow it down and watch. There is the elephant at the bottom with bunny slippers. There's a giraffe in high heels. There is an alligator or a crocodile in Crocs. Like, it's just, and you can't see it in the clip, because it was a video. I think I did a video and a picture. You can't fully see it. No, there were pictures. I should have did video. But she had little bitty things that when you got real close to it, it was just a treat. Like the hand embroidery, the hand shading that she added with paints, just all of those things that just, again, that's another one of those things that just challenges you. So you can sit with that quilter and point at this and point at that, and she can tell you what tool she used here and what thread she used there and what paints she used on her fabric and what groups she's in. And it's just this amazing experience. Like, it is so worth the time and the financial investment to go. And so, in closing, I hope that you have enjoyed this vlog. Please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment, even if it's I stayed to the end. I loved it. Tell me which quilt you loved in the setup. And I look forward to have another vlog that I was doing around the same time coming up that I'm going to edit and get that up. And you may see it like next week or so. And I may have another video accompanying this one, but there's more to come. Okay, there's more to come. So I'm out. I'm going to get this all finished and up. I'll see you all hopefully sooner than later. Don't forget to thumbs it up, subscribe to my channel, and tell other quilters about this little community of love, you know what I'm saying, that we trying to put together, fellow crafters. Okay, so I'll see you all hopefully sooner than later. Take care.